Hello and welcome to the Srijan Wednesday webinars. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, this is a community initiative by Srijan Technologies where you can tune into a variety of sessions across the fields of technology, entrepreneurship, and community building. In today's session, we take a look at how best to manage QA touchpoints in an agile project. We take a look at the QA best practices, the continuous integration workflow, and how to choose the right automation framework for your project. And to take us through all of this, we are joined by Anil Chandna, QA lead at Srijan. Before we begin, I would request all participants to please type in any questions that you have during the presentation, and we will take them up in the last 15 minutes of this session. Also, please don't forget to take the session live on Twitter using our hashtag SrijanWW. You can share your thoughts by tagging us in your tweets using our handle @Srijan. So, are we all set? Let's get right to it then. Anil, over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Anil Chandna and I'm working as a QA lead at Srijan Technologies from last 3 years. So today we are going to discuss about QA touchpoints in an agile project. So I'll start with my first slide. So first of all, we are going to discuss about QA best practices, which enable us to deliver quality product in time. Although this is not the exhaustive list of QA practices, but these are the most major critical kind of practices that we should follow to deliver our quality product. So first of all, I'm going to discuss about like quality assistance over quality assurance, which means we are trying to focus on preventing bugs rather than finding, because now the days has passed where a best QA was one who was filing most number of bugs. But nowadays we are just trying to prevent bugs. Reason being, detecting or preventing a bug at early stages is cheaper and cost effective. And how do we do it? We just try to do the impact analysis before the actual development starts. And we are trying to focus on exploratory testing over scripted testing. Scripted testing here means when a sprint starts, a QA writes test cases, and after that he executes those test cases. But our major focus is not about testing only those test cases, but we are also trying to explore our product. Reason being, this helps us in finding the most critical, business critical bugs, which in turns gives us more value. And to do more exploratory testing, we should do automation. We should involve automation in our testing. Reason being, it will allow our manual tester to get more time for exploratory testing. Execute and develop automation script to automate acceptance test with an appropriate tool and framework. And we should also involve PO, BA, and stakeholders in writing acceptance test cases. The reason behind this analogy is if our stakeholders, PO, BA, and other stakeholders are on the same page and having the same vocabulary, so it's really easy to deliver an end product with higher expectations, because we are trying to involve them from the beginning, and we are trying to use BDD for this, which is behavioral driven development, which is a common vocabulary for QA people, for development people, for PO, BA, which is like an English-alike language. After that, there should be a guideline defined for the defect of severity and priority, which helps a QA person or a Scrum Master to prioritize the bug. Like if this bug needs to be fixed right now, or can we delay the fixing of this bug? Can we move the fixing of this bug to the next sprint? And after that, we should also consider RCA at various QA touchpoints, which will also depend on the priority of the bug, severity of the bug, and after that, if the same thing has come from UAT or from client demo. The last point is in-cycle sprint testing to meet the definition of done with parallel automation. It means if we have 10 stories in a sprint and we need to test all those 10 stories within the sprint, so we should try to fix each and every bug and try to complete all the stories within the same sprint, so that the spillover doesn't happen and we go to next sprint in a clean state. So these are the few QA best practices that we try to follow. These practices might not be applicable for each and every project, or there might be some other best practices which can be added as per the nature of the project. So now I will jump towards the various stages of an agile project. These are the various stages of an agile project. So I have just tried to list it down in a way like these are the major stages of a project. So first of all, we have discovery phase, then release planning, then iteration planning, iteration review, and release. And at these stages, the testing, various kind of testing activities are required. So we have just tried to specify like what kind of testing activities are required at various stages of an agile project, so that we can deliver our quality product in time. So first of all, we will discuss about discovery phase. So in discovery phase, we just like try to collaborate and try to create story maps by understanding the integration points and impacted areas, what kind of features we are going to deliver. So how QA helps in these kind of things. So first of all, let's suppose we have multiple features that we need to deliver in a product, and now but we cannot deliver like all the features in a single go. Then we divide it in like various releases. Like this is our MVP. In MVP, we will be delivering something XYZ features, and the features above XYZ will be delivered in the next sprint or in the next release. So QA people actually can help us by their experiences, like what kind of base feature we should be have in the release one, and after that on XYZ features in the next release, how can we again like take another chunk of stories to implement additional features over XYZ. So I have one example in my mind for this. For example, if we want to implement background jobs in our project, and if we are just trying to implement background job and just execution of the background job in the release one, and if you're not bothered about like logging of the results of the background job, so we cannot do the first part in the release one and the second part in the release two, because when your release one will be live, and if there is any failure, so and we don't have like logging in place, we won't be able to understand where the actual failure is. So QA people can actually help us in recognizing like the logging should also be in the release one. These two features cannot go separate. We should try to build these two features together so that our product can work fine, and we are able to like find the different kind of problems if we face in the future. And after that, in discovery phase, we have a like picture of the product. It might or might not be like clear, but yes, in the discovery phase we have a kind of picture, like we want to achieve some kind of goals after the discovery phase. Let's suppose after the discovery phase we have come to a picture like we will be having 5 releases. So for every release there will be a release planning, and in the release planning what a QA person will do is he'll try to create a QA test plan. Why a QA test plan is required? A QA test plan is required to like to define the test objective, the scope of the testing, what kind of resources are required, what kind of testing is required, do we require performance testing, security testing, how much automation is required, and various other testing activities, like what kind of environments will be required. If we have some kind of third-party integration, what is the entry criteria, exit criteria? All these kind of things will be listed in the test plan in the QA test plan for that particular release. And QA people can also help the entire team in defining the definition of done, considering the QA strategy that they have already defined in the test plan, which is like if we have 1,000 things to test, so on which browser we need to test, and how much percentage of those test cases will be executing on which browser and which OS or on mobile devices or something like that. So QA people actually can help the entire team in deciding these kind of things. So after this release planning is done, the development team will be doing the release planning parallelly with their architect and all, and QA people will be doing their QA test plan parallelly with the different set of people. And after that, let's suppose in the release one, we have decided like we need to deliver 100 stories, and to deliver 100 stories, we have 10 iterations. So now we are going to iteration one, and now we'll start doing iteration planning. So in iteration planning, so what happens is a QA will validate the acceptance criteria. Like if I want to deliver this story number one, the QA person can sit together with PO or BA and can discuss like this is a valid acceptance criteria, or if there is some changes required or not. So task estimation will be done from the QA side, from the development side, then cumulative task estimation will be given to those stories. And after that, there comes a bug prevention state, which is like QA people will be discussing the stories with developer, and they will be discussing the scenarios. And after discussing the scenarios, developer people will come to know like these are the things they need to cover in the code, and they will be actually able to prevent the bugs. And here, there was a practical example in one of our project. Two QAs were involved in a project, and for starting of the first few sprints, we were filing like 30 bugs in a sprint, and the sprint was of like 15 days, 15 days. And in 15 days, we were filing more than 30 bugs. Then we started doing these kind of activities like collaborating in the team, discussing the scenarios before the actual development starts. And in 2-3 sprints, we were able to reduce those number of bugs to less than 10, which was a big achievement. So we started doing this in other projects as well, and we have seen like good results out of that. So after the iteration planning is done, we come to the most extensive stage of the whole project. So which is like iteration, in which we are actually into the action of doing something. So at this stage, we discuss and write automated acceptance criteria, and we discuss these things with PO, BA, and other stakeholders so that we are on the same page. And at the end, they do not get any surprises like they were expecting something like something XYZ, and we are creating an ABC. So we discuss those things with them and try to write acceptance criteria in terms of BDD, which is like English alike language, so that QA people, developer people, and other stakeholders have the same common vocabulary. In the iteration phase, we do feature testing, exploratory testing, UI automation, performance, security, regression, sanity, and other kind of testing which is applicable. And it can actually totally depend on from project to project or product to product. And in the same phase, UAT testing is also done by the client and other stakeholders. So this is the most extensive phase of the whole process. After that, after one sprint is over, there is an iteration review. In this, we actually QA people confirms like all the business requirement that was expected out of the particular iteration are meeting. And after that, a demo is given to client, and there is some kind of participation of QA people. It's like the participation of the whole team in the retrospective. Then QA people create a demo script and hand over the script to the client. So in this case, now all the 10 sprints will be done from the iteration planning, then iteration to iteration review. Then all the releases will be done. And after the end of the release, we will be having an automated regression test suite, which we can run before every deployment. Sanity test can be done, and after that we do the release retrospective. So these are the various stages of an agile project, and QA person can do these kind of QA activities to ensure that we are delivering the product in time, and also ensuring the quality of the product. So this seems to be very extensive things, but yes, at the first glance, these seems to be like an overhead. But yes, when we try to follow these things, this gives us great results when it comes to like to achieve the end goals. So, so now I'm moving to next slide. Uh, so before moving to next slide, I'll just try to focus on iteration part. In iteration part, we are actually doing a lot of stuff. QA people are doing various kind of performance testing, automated testing, which can be functional, UI testing, some security testing. They are also doing the manual testing of the new features which are coming in. They are also doing also creating demo scripts, reporting bugs, doing the RCA part. So this iteration phase is like quite extensive for QA people. So to save their time, to utilize for some other best things available, uh, and to do other productive QA things, we should also like try to focus on automation part. And in the next slide, we have we have tried to cover something of like automation thing with CI and CD workflow, so that QA people are involved less in doing the redundant task of regression, sanity, smoke testing, or doing like performing performance testing every time manually, or performing security checks manually every time. So, so this CI CD workflow has been specified here. So I'll start from bug prevention stage. So this is the whole thing will happen in the iteration. So it will go from left to right. So first is the bug prevention stage. In the bug prevention stage, Dev and QA will discuss on the stories, like these are the scenarios, and we need to cover all these scenarios in their code. So they'll discuss the scenario, and Dev people will start writing the code, and it will prevent the bugs, and the number of bugs will reduce. After that, POBA and QA will cumulatively sit together and will try to write acceptance criteria in BDD format, which is like English-alike language. After that, QA adds to performance testing, UI testing, security, functional scripts. It totally again depends on the project. If the project is like eligible for performance testing, then we will write the performance test scripts. And after that, and the parallelly, Dev is like writing their code. And now Dev is like, sorry. So now Dev checks in their new code to GitHub, which is like, he'll try to just raise a PR. So after raising the PR, we have webhooks available. We have Git webhooks available, which are integrated with Jenkins. And now few of the Jenkins jobs will trigger, which will execute our regression test cases, performance test cases, UI test cases, security test cases. There might be some kind of code checking, code snippet, or some CSS lint checking. So there might be various other things connected to this touch point, in which developer will just raise the PR and all the jobs will get triggered. So after triggering of the job, if we like find any failure of the job, so Jenkins will identify the culprit and send the test report to the entire team, so that now team can work towards fixing of those things. And again the PR will be raised, the Jenkins jobs will be triggered, and again if there is failure, then the culprit will be notified. But in case the job is passed, the PR will be merged either manually or automated. So it totally depends on the project again. If you want to like check the business logic, we don't have anything available in the market who can check the business logic. It can be checked only manually. So if the job passed, we can merge the PR, and after the PR is merged, now the new code is available to QA team. QA team will manually check the new feature and will do the exploratory testing. Now they will be having more time for the exploratory testing. So they will check the new feature along with exploratory testing of old features, plus the integration of the new feature with the old one. And if they find like everything is fine, they'll go to demo script. They'll like just try to write a demo script so that it can be handed over to client for their future references. So this is the entire CI/CD workflow that we have discussed right now. So it can be entirely automated, or as I told earlier, it can be we can have some manual intervention of merging PR manually. It will again totally depend from project to project. So now we have discussed about CI/CD, but there are few points like we, in the industry we are facing right now, like what to automate, what framework we should use to automate, and how much automation is actually required. Do we need some kind of automation or not in some kind of project? Or, like these kind of questions are always in people's mind. So I'm just moving to next slide. Before reading this particular slide, I will just try to share my experience with you. Uh, Last month I visited one of my client in Philippines, and we were just discussing something about like what to automate and what should be the criteria of the project. Like if we have these kind of projects, so we should do these kind of automation in that project. So he gave me an example. Uh, it was actually an experience to him. So he told me something like they hired a vendor, and the vendor was very smart, and they were very keen to do automation of each and everything. Uh, and and recently they did some kind of migration from some Drupal 7 to Drupal 8, and after that they migrated all the data from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8, and that was a one-time activity, and they did the automation of that migration. And after doing the migration, the various stakeholder asked, if this was the one-time activity, did we really require the automation part for this? Because we are not going to use it in the future. So that was totally waste of the money. So, so these are like few parameters. So now I will try to cover few parameters in this slide. On basis of these parameters, we can actually try to decide like we should jump into the automation, and uh, how much automation should we do for this project. So what to automate based on the ROI derived from size of the project. If we have a project which is a single page application and static application, and on which we can just do the manual testing in 10-15 minutes. So in those kind of projects, we don't need to automate those things. If the test cases are repeatable, if I'm executing 10 test cases every day or twice a day, and I'm doing this act and need to do this activity for next 15 days or for next 30 days. So this will be a very mundane task and will be very redundant. If I spend one day to automate those 10 test cases, or 2 days to automate those test cases, then I can get a very good ROI if I need to execute those test cases even for next 15 days. Duration of the project. So if the project duration is only of 2 months, and we just need to deliver the project in 2 months, and if you're building our automation framework and like writing our test cases in 1 month, so it's really hard to get an ROI from what we have, from the kind of automation we did, because we have spent almost 50% or more than 50% of the time in doing the automation. After that, the automation framework will be there only for a month. So, and if we are aware like the few of the features are going to change in the future, or we are not sure about those features if they're going to change or not, if the UI is going to change or not, then there is no point of like doing automation on that. Reason being, if I'm doing the automation on that part, if there are some changes, then again I will be doing the I'm on changing the feature of when those features will get changed. I will be required to do some kind of maintenance work on that. In fact, it can also happen like I might need required to like change the entire framework. It will totally depend on the feature that has changed. So we try to keep these things in our mind while thinking of like what to automate. And after that and how much to automate. So sometimes we have some kind of restrictions with us, like we have only few days available, and we need to automate a lot of test cases. So how to overcome that? So we can actually plan it in a better way. We can just like try to list down all the test scenarios. I'm not saying like we should write each and every test case. At least high level test scenarios can be written in a day or two. And after that, just try to sit with stakeholders and just try to identify like which are the business critical cases. just list down those business critical cases and try to automate those first. If we have like covered those business critical cases, most of the battle is already won. So we every time we don't need to automate each and everything. It can be prioritized, and priority always will be the business critical first. And here we have also shown some kind of test pyramid. Like there is a myth, like all the test automation should be done by QA people, but this is not correct actually. So this is the ideal test pyramid, which which is like available on internet. Like you can see the various kind of pyramids available, and which list down like this kind of automation we can do in the whole project. So first of all, unit tests come, then component test, integration test, API test. These three kind of testing can be merged together in the integration testing, and after that, a functional test come, and the writing and the effort that we put in writing unit test is way less, because in this we are just checking the methods, but the outcome we get from the unit test is way higher. Reason being, if we are writing a functional test, and if we have seen a bug there, so at the end the bug will be going to the bug there will be bug in the method itself. So a dev need to dig down to the method, and at the end the method will be responsible for that particular bug. So if we are writing the unit test, so we could have find the bug at very early stage. So and unit tests are always written by a developer, and it takes very less time to execute those test cases. In one of my project, we were having almost 8,000 test cases, unit test cases, and those test cases were getting executed in 2 minutes. So it's the rate of execution is really fast. And if we want to execute functional test, 8,000 functional tests, it will take days to execute those test cases. And unit test also helps us identifying the bugs at very early stages. And as we all know, early detection and fixture of the bug is really cheaper. Now I'm moving to our next part, framework selection. Now we have decided like we have a very good project size. We need to like automate around 100 test cases. But what should be the framework that we should use? So we have various frameworks available in the market, which is like data-driven, keyword-driven, page object model, some hybrid framework, which can be combination of these three. There are BDD things that are available, which is like another layer over these frameworks, data-driven and POM, keyword-driven. But how should we select a framework? So we have tried to just list down few of the points, if we have like data privacy things, if we have user journeys, if we have like browser device compatibility things, permission schemes, or we have product road. If we have some kind of user journeys available to us, so on basis of that we can actually select our framework. So I'll just try to give an example. In few of the project, data might be very critical. We need to check the same scenario many times, but with different kind of data. You can actually relate it to permissions as well. So in that case, we can actually use data providers and can use Excel sheets, can provide and can feed the same test case with 100 types of data. So in that case, data-driven framework will be more suitable. And if we're trying to focus on user journeys, in user journeys, the POM framework is more suitable. Reason being, in POM we just try to list out all the methods and variable in our classes, and in the journey we just need to call those classes, and we just need to like create instance of those classes and call those methods. That's it. So these are the few things we can keep in our mind, and which helps us in selecting the framework. And at some times we might go with the hybrid approach, which is like combination of data driven and POM. So we might need to automate user journeys along with different kind of data. So in that case, the hybrid framework is the most suitable choice. And after that, I'm moving to best practices. These are the best practices of QA automation. So these are very standard one. like reusability of the code, configurable and maintainable, easy to add a new test case, modular and independent cases, test cases tagging. So we can just now we can just focus on like the code should be reusable. I should not write the same kind of code at multiple places. Reason being, if I need to do some changes in the code, core code, I might need to require to do those changes at multiple places. And if I forget to do those changes at all the places, then few of my test cases might get failed. So we should have a common method for the same feature, and that should be used by each and every, but that can be used like each and every test case. So, and we should also create our test framework in such a way that it's quite easy to add a new test case. Reason being, if we are like putting a lot of complexity in our framework and we are not able to like add a new test case to our framework, so the ROI will be very less. If a test case can be automated in 4 hours and in my framework it's taking 2 days, so it's like I'm putting a lot more effort in doing the automation part, and I'm saving a very less time while I'll execute those test cases. And we should also do the test case tagging, uh, because if we have 100 test cases available to us, 100 automated test cases available to us, it's very difficult to like run 100 test cases every time. And it might take 2-3 hours or 4 hours to execute those test cases. And if there is a change in the login feature, why should I execute the add to cart feature test cases? So we should only focus on the login test cases. So we can actually tag those test cases, the login test cases, and can execute only 10-15 test cases. So this will help us in giving the results earlier, and we will be able to detect the bug in way advance. So these are the things we can actually take up while deciding the automation strategy. So now I'm moving to the ROI of the automation strategy. So when we do automation, we always talk about ROI. What is the return on investment? If I'm spending a month with 2 QA people, like doing 100, like they are doing the automation part 100% capacity. So client will also expect like what kind of outcome you are giving to me, what kind of benefits they are getting out of it. Uh, so first of all, we are getting higher availability. Higher availability means QA people around the world works, like all the people around the world works for 8 hours a day, but automation scripts can work for 24 hours a day. So they are not restricted to the timings. They can work on weekends as well. We just need to schedule some jobs, and after that, or we can set some cron jobs, and these test cases can be executed. Uh, Faster results. Let's suppose a dev person pushed the code in the repo in the evening. So a QA person will come in the morning and will test the code. But if we have automation test suite available to us, so whenever a dev will push the code to the repo, my automation test cases will get triggered, and we'll get the results on the same day. And the next day, developer can continue working on the bugs if there is any. And lower cost of execution. Again, our dev environment, staging environment are available for 24 hours a day, but we people are working for 8 hours if we are not working from different geography. So we are working for 8 hours a day, but the servers are available for 24 hours a day. So our automation test scripts can actually utilize those 16 hours as well. So it leads to like lower cost of execution, repeatability. So a human being is like quite receptive. So a human being is not like receptive to like mundane tasks, and can get bored of doing those tasks. Then there is a higher chance of making mistakes while doing the repeated tasks. So, but the automation script are like doing these kind of like repeated tasks selflessly. They don't have any emotions. So that's why automation scripts are more reliable in these cases. Uh, and we write automation test cases only ones which can be like supported by different devices and platform. Like if I have written a test case, so I can run that test case on Ubuntu machine, on Chrome browser. I can run that on Windows 10 machine, on Mozilla browser with some specific version. So we just need to like do some kind of configuration here and there. And if the same kind of things needs to be done manually, it will take a lot of time to execute all the cases on different kind of permutation and combination of devices and platforms. Uh, Again, it gives us early detection of bugs. And this is the next point is very important. More time for ET. ET is exploratory testing and the new feature testing and other types of testing. So when a new feature is built, and if our QA people are involved in testing activities of our previous features and all, so it's really difficult to focus. It's really difficult for QA people to focus on all the aspect of the new feature and doing some kind of exploratory testing to find some really business critical bugs. So automated testing allows our QA team to give more time to exploratory testing and to the new feature testing. Reduced dependency on resources. If we have written the automation cases, we can run those cases at any time, and we are not dependent on like if someone is on sick leave or someone is not available. We can actually execute whatever test suite we have available to us. So this is quite useful. It reduces the dependencies as well. Yes, but we have a demerit of this. We need to put initial investment on that, and it will totally depend on the size and the nature of the project. Like how much investment is actually required. If the project is big, then planning and strategizing these things can take weeks, and after that, creating a good framework might take months. But at the end, the ROI will get you all the things available in your plate, like higher availability, faster results, lower cost of execution. So these kind of things will be available to the client and to us. So in the previous slides, I have also talked about some kind of demo script, like after after completion of a feature, a QA person can write a demo script and can deliver it to client once the sprint is over, once the iteration is over. So I'm just trying to show you some demo of the demo script. This is one of this demo script has been taken one of my project. So in what we do in the demo script is it's like we just specify the story name and the summary of the story. We just try to write down the steps, like the user is logging as admin role and user is going to this page. User will do some kind of action, and by after doing this action there will be XYZ results. After doing that particular action, user will be redirected to some screen. User will get these kind of outputs. So this demo script actually help client in doing the UAT part, as well as this can also be taken as a manual for using the product. And at the end of the every sprint, this can be delivered to client, which has been gracefully taken by our clients in various projects. So that was all from my side for today.
Thank you, Anil, for leading us through that very insightful presentation. And I would like to tell our audience that if you have any questions for Anil or at any point throughout the presentation, now would be a good time to type it in and we will take them up with Anil. And while you do that, I actually have a couple of questions for Anil. So, Anil, at the end when you are mentioning the demo scripts and so this is one portion where the QA team is getting in touch with with the team at the client side and delivering some sort of a tangible deliverable to them where they can have an insight into how the QA team is working. So is there any other point throughout the process where the QA team is in direct contact, or is engaging with the client side team anytime during the agile project?
Yes, so I'm just going back to slide number. Yes. So in this slide, I have specified like POBA and QA. So in this POBA means POBA along with stakeholder like sits with QA, and after that they discuss about like what should be the acceptance criteria of this particular feature. Like if we have a checklist, like we need to cover these 10 things, and after that the feature is completed.
Hmm.
So this is the where a client or the stakeholders can sit with QA, and they can cumulatively decide like this is the acceptance criteria, and if we have achieved these things, so we are like good to go with the feature. And this is all in like BDD format, which is like BDD or TDD format, which is like test first approach. In this, like we used to write these cases in the English alike language, and in that English alike language, uh, after writing those cases, the script will get run, all the test cases will get failed, and after that, developer will start writing the code. And after writing the code, let's suppose he has written the 50% of the code. Now, few of the test cases will get passed. Reason being, now the code is available. So stakeholder will be able to see like this much of the acceptance criteria has been completed now.
Okay. Next up, what I have is that this question that since we are always aiming for faster delivery cycles, frequent but faster delivery cycles, how much time does planning, all the planning portion of the QA take? Like how much is an appropriate time to dedicate to it so that you're still able to maintain a fast pace of development and delivery process?
Yeah. So discovery phase is always an like very intensive phase. So you cannot cut time on discovery phase because this is the base. So and in release planning, we try to like constrain our meeting to some like we just try to time box our meetings. So like if we are given, and it will totally depend on the nature of the project. If we have a project in which we have like 10 or like 10 QAs available, so we can like divide that into two teams, and then they can like take the different part of the testing activities. Then they can discuss this separately, and we can have a like meeting of like time box meeting of 4 hours in deciding the QA test plan and all these kind of things. And iteration plannings are always time boxed in the agile environment. And before iteration planning, we have other things as well, which is like the backlog grooming part, backlog estimations part. So all these things are already time boxed. So when you will come to the iteration planning, you will be having very specific things to do, which is like you just need to discuss. We have 10 stories, and every story will be given like 15 minutes, and 10-15 minutes you just need to discuss those with the team, and just verbally tell the scenarios, and just and discuss about like these are the things we need to cover. And the QA will, sorry, dev people will get the insight like in the dev, while doing the coding, they need to cover this. It will help them preventing the bugs. It will help QA people in assisting, and it will also it will be then time boxed as well. Reason being, we are not spending like more than 10-15 minutes for a story. So if we have like 10 stories available in the sprint, so it will be like 150 minutes, a meeting of 2.5 hours. And I'll go like one step before that. When we are doing the backlog grooming, it means like we have already done the homework, all the stories are clear to us, so we don't have any questions while we do the iteration planning. So in the iteration planning, we just discuss about the actions we need to do.
Okay, so the idea is to spend the majority of your time in the discovery phase, not to cut corners there, but also ensure that every meeting has a specific time bound period so that you don't stray off and tend to spend more time than required on any part of the project.
Right. Let's suppose like for iteration planning, we have two more meetings, which is like backlog grooming and backlog estimation. So in the backlog grooming, all the questions are cleared, and in the backlog estimation, we have already estimated the things. Like this task is of 5 story pointer, of 3 story pointers. And when we come to the iteration planning, so we have very clear things available to us. We just need to discuss few things and just start. Uh, and it will be like it can be, we can actually time box it. So
All right. The next question we have is also a question that comes up in almost every QA webinar that we do is, can QA automation replace manual testing 100%, or do we still need both?
it cannot replace manual testing. I will just try to give one more example here. If, because like our automation scripts are not artificial intelligent, and our automation script will do whatever we write in that. And if we by mistake miss a bug in our automation script, and my automation script is getting like is run for like 2 times a day, and it's been 2-3 months, and I'm running those scripts. Like let's suppose I have run those scripts for 100 days, and the script was getting run two times a day. I have missed that bug 200 times. And if a person like manually do those kind of testing, the person can identify the same bug in two or three iteration. It won't take much like more than that. But so I will like try to emphasize like we should do manual testing, but it should be done smartly. We should try to do exploratory testing over scripted testing. Scripted testing should be given to the automation thing. But yes, we should do manual testing. That's because it's really required for the like business critical things.
Right. Also, you happen to mention exploratory testing, and by the nature of it, exploratory testing tends to have no set scope at the beginning of it. You start on it, and then you go on one after the other and branch off to see what else or what other bugs you can find. So even in that case, how do you approach exploratory testing? It cannot be a completely random approach, so there has to be some sort of a process as to how you start off with exploratory testing.
Right. So in that case, first of all, we need to understand our system, the business of the business of the project or the product. We need to understand our system. So again, I'll just try to give one more example. Let's suppose we just want to upload a file to our one of our product, and we want to like now download it. So most of the people will do like they'll just upload the file, they'll download it, and if the download is successful, they'll open the file and everything is fine. But what is happening at the back end? So if the file is like going to some AWS environment, it's going to Google Drive, it's going to somewhere else. What happens if I upload the same file on different content? If let's suppose I have a file named anil.txt, which is a 1 MB file, which is having my resume or something like that. I have uploaded that file on one content. And after that, I created one more content. I have uploaded the same file, anil.txt, which is having my like credit history or my matrimonial thing kind of things, which is like available in that anil.txt file, which is of 5 MB. I have uploaded that particular file as well. But do we really now try to download like these two files? It might be the case like we have not maintained the kind of bucketing system in Google Drive or in the AWS. My second file might have replaced the first one because the name was same. It has happened in many projects, like the bucketing system was not up to mark, and the latest file was replacing the old files. So these kind of, first of all, you need to like understand how your system is working, and after that you will be able to like pinpoint these kind of things. This is just one example. There might be many more examples available.
All right. Thank you, Anil, for answering all those questions that our audience had, and I think that is all we have for our audience from our audience at the moment. And if you have any other questions, you can always write to us at webinars@srijan.net or tweet your questions to us, and we will obviously surely get them answered by Anil. So that was it for today. Once again, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all for joining us at the Srijan Wednesday webinars. And once again, thanks, Anil, for leading a session for us today. And I would like to also inform all our attendees that the webinar recording and the slides will be available in your inbox within the next 24 hours. And as for the details for our next webinar, you will also get a mail from us very soon. So thanks once again, everyone, for joining us. That's all from us today.